Adoption, tragedy, and culture. That's what this story is about today, and I cannot wait to read it to you guys, so let's get right into it. About 17 years ago, my wife and I adopted a baby from an Asian American family. While we knew very little details, basically what happened with them is this. We learned that they were too young for children. I made very little inquiries as they seemed embarrassed and I did not want to pry. I was just excited to have a son and could not care less about the parents' history, besides their current and future well-being. So, as long as they were healthy and willing to give me their child, I really did not go through much of their history. This was a major duck-up. My wife and I chose to adopt this baby because we felt the parents, and anyone that's been through adoption process, knows that it's much easier to get a non-white baby than it is to get a white one, which is ducked up in my opinion. And we wanted one now and did not want to be on a wait list. Anyways, we adopt this beautiful, loving, affectionate, incredible baby. It's truly love at first sight for all of us. Around about 8 months though, we start to feel a bit of guilt about not raising him in his ethnic culture. And given that we live in an area with a major Chinese population, it would be very easy to introduce him to his roots. So for the next 17 years, we do everything we can to honor his ethnicity. We send him to Chinese language courses, and by 5, he's fluent in Mandarin and English. He gets adopted by a Chinese aunt and uncle. They taught him culture things and celebrate certain holidays, taking him for dim sum every couple of weeks. We've been taking him to China every 2 years since he was 8. We weren't trying to force him to take up his culture as an other in our family, but we did not want to rob him of it completely, whitewash him either. We try and be PC as possible, and we thought we were doing the right thing. He's the best thing that's ever happened to me and my wife. There is not a day where I don't just look at him and smile warmly. I love him. Anyways, we're filling out his college applications and financial aid, and doing that whole thing. I go to my home office and go through some files and find his old adoption records. I'm not really paying much attention to them, and then his biological parents' surname pop up and basically punch me in the face. His parents' last name were Park and Kim. Duck. For those of you that don't know, those are Korean last names. My son's not Chinese. Not even a little bit. He's Korean. I suppose I just assumed it because we live in an area on the West Coast where there are a lot of Chinese immigrants, and Chinese Americans have been living for generations and generations here. I don't always assume every Asian is Chinese, but I did assume this for my son. Now, I have a 17-year-old Korean son that thinks he's Chinese. Now that I look at him, he looks incredibly Korean in comparison to all the photos of Korean men. I just Googled. Very square jaw, less hooded eyes, very broad build. None of this ever crossed my mind. I've dedicated nearly 2 decades to helping my son be close to roots that aren't even his. I realize that I've just been ducking up. I feel like a complete a-hole to the 9th degree. I'm the dumb liberal white jerk. Duck. I've yet to disclose this to my son or wife. I honestly don't know if I will. Well guys, Mr. Edito here, that silence did not last long, because I have an update, and let me just tell you, last night OP broke the news to Sun. Here how's it goes. After consulting with my wife, I decided to break the news to my son. We sorta just told him straight up and explained our mistake. We were completely transparent and told him that we have made an assumption, and it snowballed into something bigger than we've ever thought it would become. There were some tears, some laughter, and like many of you pointed out, there was still lots of love. I don't think it's truly hit any of us yet. He wants to go to Bali and not China this summer, and he wants breakdancing lessons and new lens for his camera. He's glad to know Mandarin but wants to go in law and not business, but we're sure it'll be just as useful. He's confused, but as happy as he can be in this situation. The way that story was building up, I just thought something tragic was coming. I'll have to say, what happened could have been worse. Yeah, at least now we can say, hey, he knows Mandarin. I want to read a comment that I found. It says, that was a roller coaster. By the setup, I thought I was going to read something heartbreaking about rejection from the kid. Then it got darkly funny. Then it had a nice conclusion with lots of affection and the family. Good times. Let me know what you guys thought of that story. I thought it was kind of wholesome in a weird way. The second story we're going to look at today, OP discovers that her sister put her niece up for adoption after she had her son. Let's get right to it. Click that subscribe button if you're new here. We read daily videos. My sister had a second child and we were all thrilled for her. She lives a few states over and we haven't seen her this last year. She had one child 2 years ago with her boyfriend and the other one was born last month. Yesterday we had a family Zoom meeting to see the baby and say hi to my other nibblings. We get on, family starts to load in, everyone's basically there thrilled to see the baby. We get to meet her new baby boy. After a bit, I asked to see my niece as well. My sister got quiet and very quietly said she doesn't have her. My aunt questioned this and I was also confused. After a few minutes, my sister said that in the beginning of January, she put her daughter up for a closed adoption because she could not care for 2 children. Everyone lost it. The whole Zoom was a mess. We didn't know. We never even got to say goodbye. She did not have to do this because any one of us would have taken my niece. Duck, I could have taken her. I've had multiple miscarriages and fertility issues, and although I'm currently pregnant, I'm as stable owning a home and having the resources to have taken care of a toddler as well. This is important. My sister has always said she wanted to be a boy mom. I lost it. I called my sister a narcissistic beep. I asked her when she'd get bored of the new baby and get rid of that one too. I asked her how the hell she could do this without reaching out to family. I know my sister and I know deep down she just wants a daughter. She was depressed when she found out she was having a girl, but thrilled this entire recent pregnancy. I called her a monster for making children she did not care or want, like they were a novelty. I said some other things too. At this point, my grandmother is a complete mess and says her chest hurts, so I stop. My aunt, who is my grandmother's, goes to help her and turns off the camera. My grandmother ended up having a panic attack that they thought was a heart attack at first, and I'm so glad she's okay. My sister has since cut off all contact for the entire family. My father is pissed at me for blowing up. I was the only one who did, and says that I pushed her away. He said he could have tried to convince her to reverse it, but my verbal lashing completely ruined any chances of getting my niece back. I don't think he understands what a closed adoption means. Also, adoption takes a minute, so for her to have it completed by January makes me feel this process was in place for a hot minute. I don't think there's any chance of seeing my niece again, when the mother and father both signed her to be adopted. He's mad at me because now he's lost his granddaughter and is afraid he'll never have his grandson. My dad thinks I'm an a-hole for freaking out and nearly giving my grandmother a, quote, heart attack. I'm feeling guilty that my grandmother has such an extreme reaction, but I feel that's more because she lost her great-granddaughter. Here's an edit for update. I've contacted local CPS for my sister's area. Local courts and I have a lawyer looking into it, starting tomorrow as I just obtained him. Thanks for the helpful comments pointing out the issues with this. Especially thank you to those in social work who reached out to me privately. I did not realize how many options I had to fight this, or even see if it's legit. I'll update when I find out more about the lawyer. Final update. I'm pursuing a legal custody, and due to this, I will not be providing any more updates. My lawyer recommended this. The kid comes first, and I can say a few things. Number 1, they found her. The adoption process started a year ago in silence as a private rehoming. It was explained to me that we could fight it as they skipped steps in the process. Number 2. My sister told them she had no family and the family she does have is abusive. There was abuse on our mother's side, but they're long dead. Number 3. There's an open investigation into my sister already for her son because of the way she surrendered custody of her daughter. And number 4. I'm going to temporarily move into an apartment in the area so I'm close by, in case CPS takes custody of my nephew. It was explained that this is the way I could actively fight for custody, by being available and close. Okay guys, Mr. Reddito here. I found a small little side update to this. It was a different post, but it was posted by the original poster, and they said this. I'm unsure how to react to this new information. I'm 6 months pregnant with my first after multiple losses. My mother-in-law just informed my husband that she would not be getting anything for us for the baby shower, because she's setting up her own nursery. She's using his old crib, which my husband originally thought we would get. I'm fine with not getting his crib, I'd rather buy a new one. By the way, we may be getting custody of my sister's children as well. And mother-in-law made it very clear they would not be welcome, but she had a room for my future child. She sent pictures and her nursery's almost complete, while we did not even start ours. Honestly, it's gorgeous. We just bought a house and we're saving for the possibility of taking my sister's children. We aren't going all out on a nursery, we're being frugal and mindful with it. Meanwhile, she clearly spent thousands of dollars already. It's just so odd that she's doing a full-blown nursery. I'm a bit confused to why she's doing this. She doesn't talk to me much, so she doesn't know I plan on exclusively breastfeeding for a bit, and attachment bonding. Frankly, I don't think my child would be spending the night there until after 6 months of age. I think the only thing that comes to my mind is heartless. This lady was heartless. For a year, she acted stone cold like nothing was going on, and then when she's about to birth a baby boy, she just decides to tell her family, oh yeah, I gave my other daughter up for adoption. Didn't tell y'all about it because I didn't think it mattered. Let me know what you guys think of that and how ridiculous that sounds. I would love to hear your opinion on the topic. Our final story today is a short one. Wife has custody and wants me to allow her new husband to adopt her son. Do I have to do this? This story is located in Austin, Texas. I hope you're enjoying everything today. Let's get right on with it. Wife has custody and wants me to allow her new husband to adopt our son. Do I have to do this? Ex-wife told me that I have to do this or else she will take me to court to force me to do it. They married this year. She divorced me 4 years ago. Our son is 7. Can she demand this from me? Can she actually take me to court if I don't agree? The location is Austin, Texas. Thanks for the help. Here's the update. She ended up taking me to court, and her lawyer focused a lot on criminal record, which happened before I even met her, and she married me knowing it. Her lawyer claimed otherwise, that I've been hiding my record from her, and she only learned about it after our marriage. This was very easy for me and my lawyer to disprove, as I had email communications with her acknowledging my record. She insisted the emails not being in her inbox is proof that the emails are made up. Perhaps she seriously thought deleting the emails from her account would delete them from mine too. Her own lawyer looked really upset after this. She dropped the case immediately after the hearing. Her own husband apologized to me himself, said he wouldn't have agreed to come forward to the adoption if he knew the truth. He was a decent guy. Ex just lied to him about me to get him to adopt my son. It's been a couple months since then, and according to my son, they're now separated. I'm talking to my lawyer to change the custody agreement too. Well, good news. Case was dropped. OP has nothing to worry about, as it seems to have worked out for itself. Let me know what you guys thought of this down below in the comment section. Like always, you know I read every single one. I hope each and every one of you have an amazing day. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow, I hope, as I'll be here every single day. Mr. Reddito says goodbye.